back. Another fabulous week is getting started, and we are well starting out strong. I mean, it's been a minute since we've been able to record. Between studio moves, my illnesses, and every other thing that's happened during the summer, we just have not been able to record this summer. I do not know why.
But we are back, and everything looks fairly nice. We're still getting things organized and set up, so that takes a minute. But eventually we'll have our full studio done and be able to record really easily.
Yep. So once we get everything set up, it's gonna be a lot nicer of an environment for recording. We're not here to talk about our recording issues and everything that's going on here at Locked Loop. We're here to talk about the new Magic set because this set is coming out strong. And of course, when I say this set, I am referring to Bloomburrow, which just finished spoilers yesterday, and so we finally have a full card images. We're actually ahead of the ball game because we normally record this the week of pre-release, and it usually comes out after pre-release. So we made it early because pre-release is next week. Now Bloomburrow, a little bit of a different Magic set. The set itself is designed around anthropomorphic animals. They are trying to get that furry demographic.
Girls!
Jake is so excited for the rules in the set. I'm excited for all the bullshit that's coming.
You're just excited about the birds. You mono bird deck.
My tribal birds
Yeah,
will
your
come back with a
tribal birds.
vengeance. It will be powerful. I can't wait to build the tribal birds. But there's other things
I
in the
want to
set.
get flying squirrels.
So as usual, we're actually breaking. Well, actually, no, not as usual. We are breaking format here at Locked Loop. We will not be discussing the story of Bloomburrow because I think the story of Bloomburrow is something you should experience for yourself. That I don't think it was the strongest story. So, as Jake messes with his mic, as I get everything ready, I'm your Gia. I'm the game master Isaiah,
I'm Dragon Master Jake.
and this is Locked Loop. Um, Bloomburrow. Let's start where we usually start, which is with cycles. Now, there's a few cycles in this set. We're only going to talk about one of them, I believe, maybe two. We are going to be talking about no, we're going to be talking about two. We're going to be talking about the seasons and the talents. So I'm about to pull up some cards here, but starting with the seasons. The seasons is a series of sorceries coming out in this set that are supposed to be very versatile. Um, it's supposed to fit with like the whole animal kingdom thing and different seasons for different things. So I'm just pulling up some cards here. I don't know why it's taking so long here. So we're starting, of course, Season of the Burrow. 5 mana sorcery. Choose up to 5 worth of modes. I don't know what that's supposed to be called. I'm calling it paw prints. You can choose them more than once. So essentially, you've got 5 points to spend on this. And that's the theme with all of these. You will have 5 points to spend. You'll have one that's 3, one that's 2, one that's 1. So in theory, this can either make 5/1/1 white rabbits, or it can exile 2 permanent non-land permanents and then create a rabbit. Or you can return a permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So when I say this thing has its options, it definitely has options there. Personally, I don't think the seasons are the strongest things in the set or the most interesting things in the set. They're not going to be causing any problems.
They're not the most interesting. There's some far better cards in this set.
So I'm going to be just moving on. We're just going to go through the seasons real quick. After the season of Burrow, we have the season of Weaving. This one is more interesting. 6 mana sorcery. First one is draw a card, which in theory means you could draw 5 cards for 6 mana. That's not a bad change considering how much card draw usually costs. So 5 cards for 6 mana isn't bad. It's not the greatest, but it's something. Or you can choose an artifact you control and create a token copy of it. Artifact or creature. So it could be a Saheeli's Artistry if you wanted it to. And then draw a card. So it's a better Saheeli's Artistry. Return each non-land token permanent to its owner's hand. Non-land, non-token. I mean, this is a board clear. 3 mana. I draw 2 cards and I bounce everything, every non-token that I don't control. It's interesting that this doesn't hit tokens. So it works well with Simic tokens because it doesn't hit tokens, which is still kind of weird.
So it's really bad to use against a token deck.
Yep. Of course, the next one is, of course, Season of the Bold. Choose up to 5 worth, once again, 5 mana. Create attached treasures, so you can create 5 treasures. So refund the spell. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of turn. You may play them until the end of your next turn. Whenever you cast a spell, Season of the Bold deals 2 damage up to 1 target creature. This is interesting because this is a storm payoff. I mean, it is. What I see it as is a storm payoff. It's not much more than that. Because it's like, yeah, no, every spell now does 2 damage, so I'm storm. If I storm off, I can use this. Other than that, it's not very interesting. I think the seasons could have been a whole lot better. Honestly, I think seasons should have been enchantments because they're seasons.
Yeah, but they also have a set of enchantments.
We'll be talking about those in a second. Those are fun. I'm really interested for the talents because they're doing something different. The last one, of course, is Season of Loss. 5 mana once again. Each player sacrifices a creature. So you can make each player sacrifice 5 creatures.
You missed Season of Gathering.
We'll get to Season of Gathering. I know I said it's the last one. We're still getting used to the new format and the new stuff. But Season of Loss. Okay? Each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Draw a card for each creature you control that died this turn. So in theory, what you can do with this is you can stack it. You can go, okay, everybody's going to sacrifice 3 creatures, and then I'm going to draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
Still not what we want. I'm like, the seasons are good in theory. That's the problem. They're only good in theory. Their execution has been an issue. I don't like how the execution is going, especially because these are taking mythic slots. You know how disappointed it'll be for somebody to pull a mythic and it's a season.
I mean, the blue one's interesting if you're doing a token deck, because that would actually be useful.
Yeah, Simic tokens.
Like I said, but what was this one? I don't remember.
Season of Gathering. 6 mana, 5. Once again, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. It gains vigilance and trample until end of turn. 5 creatures get +1/+1, gain vigilance, trample. Choose an artifact or enchantment. Destroy all permanents of the type. So this thing could, in theory, blow up all artifacts and enchantments.
Or enchantments.
And enchantments.
Oh yeah, because it's the 2 cost. Yeah.
Or 3 draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. It's just a green thing. Green does that all the time. Green has other ways of doing it. Green has better ways of doing it. The thing about these spells that they're going for is versatility.
Oh yeah.
Endgame versatility spells. And it's like, yeah, but what we want in these versatility spells is spells that do something when it's early and get more powerful later on. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, after we talk talent. Because we got to have some inherent talents in here. Give me just a second. I'm finding the talents. All right. Let's start with artist's talent. How about that? Let's start with the artist talent.
Mine does not want to blow it up.
Just gonna like that. It's all right. Artist talent. So I like the idea of talents.
There we go.
They're expanding on classes that were introduced in Baldur's Gate. Now, because the classes were introduced in Baldur's Gate, they played around that. You took the fighter class, you took the cleric class. Talents don't fit into that mold exactly, but I'm like, I understand it. What they could have done is they could have, instead of calling them talents, just made them classes and been like, this is the artist class. This is the caretaker class. So artist is the red one. Its first level is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So not storm payoff, but it helps because you get to cycle through your cards. You get to feed your deck. when you get to rummage like this is rummaging. Yes, this is rummaging. Discarding and then drawing, I believe, is called rummaging. Yeah, because drawing and then discarding is called looting. So when you're rummaging like this, it can be useful because you get to ditch what you don't want and maybe draw what you want. And if you're storming off, you can do that more than once. For a 2 mana spell, it's an alright effect. Then, of course, you can spend an extra 3 mana, and now all your non creatures cost 1 less. In red, which means this is probably going to go in a lot of storm decks. Um, Having your spells cost less is just good because you're going to be storming off and casting a lot of non-creatures. Then, of course, you can spend another 3. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or permanent opponent controls, it deals that much plus 2. That's good for things like Grape Shot, um, anything that does non-combat damage. It just pumps it by 2.
Yeah.
As long as it's on the field. Which means technically total, this thing is 8 mana for those 3 effects. But realistically, you'll be doing that over the course of multiple turns. So I think it kind of beats itself, does itself out. What's the next one, Jake? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's go the Innkeeper's Talent.
Innkeeper's Talent.
Yes.
Caretaker Scavenging Storm. Where is the Innkeeper?
It's the green.
You start, I'll find it.
Okay. So, the Innkeeper's Talent says, let's see here. Gain the next ability as a sorcery to add in the additional ability, which is the same thing as that. But at the beginning of combat, on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Doesn't seem like it's going to do a whole lot. But, like Isaiah was saying, the abilities are meant to stack. So afterwards, you after a couple of turns, you put a bunch of counters on creatures. You pay 1. Permanents you control with a counter on them have ward 1. So, and that just specifies a ward, or that just specifies a counter. It doesn't have to be from this.
Yeah, shield counters, +1/+1 counters.
Now, this is the third ability. That's where it gets mean, because it's like a counter doubler.
Yeah,
it is entirely a counter doubler, and it goes on both planeswalkers and creatures.
Now, I want to talk about the mana cost of each of these because this is very interesting. Innkeeper's Talent, just to get it to the second level, is only 1 mana. Which means, from a design intention, what they intend you to do is cast this for 2 on your 3rd turn and immediately level it.
Yeah.
But
the thing is if you level it, the second it specifies that the next abilities are casted as sorceries.
Yeah, you have to level up as sorcery, which means they intend for you to play it turn 2, level it turn 3, get something out as well on turn 3, and then turn 4, level it fully.
So that's just it. Won't those reset every turn?
No, these
They're
do
a sorcery.
This does not. No, so by sorcery, what it means is at sorcery speed. Classes, as you level up, you get to keep it. You gain a level as a sorcery to add its ability.
Nice.
So yeah, so you get all of the abilities. Honestly, I love the idea of classes, and my only thing is the naming convention. Why did you call them talents? Why not just call them innkeeper? The class is innkeeper. It adds something interesting. It's fun. What's your class? Oh, I'm playing an innkeeper this game.
Yeah, but I really like the idea of pretty much having another doubling season for your counters.
This is nice. It's gonna help Shalai and Halar decks. My Falco Sparrow deck. It's gonna help a lot of
It's gonna
things.
help my token deck.
What it'll do and what it really helps to do is fill the niche that it needs to be. And these talents definitely help fill that niche because we don't have too many of those counter doublers. And counter doublers are not inherently as strong as token doublers. And because they're not as strong as token doublers,
They don't get targeted.
yeah, they got a chance to stick on the battlefield.
Until a planeswalker comes out.
Uh, talk about the planeswalkers. Let's talk about the caretakers. The caretaker's talent. Whenever one or more tokens you control enter the battlefield, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. First ability is a Tokasia's Welcome. Tokasia's Welcome is a three mana cost sorcery that just does that.
Hmm.
Whenever one or more tokens enter, draw a card. This gives those token decks the draw power that they need, because the issue with token decks is so often they run out of gas.
Yeah. Especially when you have somebody who has a pipe bomb in their back pocket.
You're gonna get us banned again, aren't you?
No, how did you phrase that deck? By turn 5, you have a pipe bomb.
Yeah, Ashling. Well, let. I'll say it here. Ashling states, Ashling, you gotta have the balls, as Maldhound puts it, as he talks about Maldhound, as Maldhound on YouTube puts it. It takes some serious balls to roll up to the table with nothing but 99 mountains and the ingredients for a pipe bomb.
Yeah. We've played against it.
I'm actually taking it apart.
Thank goodness. He would legitimately, we would play
I-
against my token deck. He would board wipe every turn.
We'll get into Ashling later, because
That
it's
was
an Ashling
rude.
it's an Ashling an old Ashling the Pilgrim deck, and I essentially started playing red control.
It was rude.
Let's go to level 2.
He wouldn't let me go off.
This class becomes level 2. Create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Which means what? For 1 mana, you will create a token and draw a card.
And maybe double it.
Pay 4, level 3. Creature tokens you control get +2/+2. There's all the honestly, this thing is less interesting at level 3 than it is at every other level. At level 1, you could just play this thing and let it stick at level 1. Just let it play as a Tokasia's Welcome.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, I got 1 mana, I don't know what to spend it on. I'll create a token. Or I want to make a copy. So that is something you can easily do.
Not only that, but we've done this before where doing a token life gain deck. That was rude. We were able to get it so we could copy our commander. There was one point I ended up with 15 copies of my commander.
We can't sit on this because we haven't even gotten to the cards we want to talk about. Let's go to Scavenger's Talent. Whenever one or more creatures you control die, create a food token. This triggers once each turn. For 1 mana.
Of course, it's a squirrel that wants food.
Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, target player mills 2 cards. Jake's like, ew. Level 3, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice 3 other permanents. If you do, return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter. Now, if you're not familiar with finality counters, something with finality counter, when it dies, it gets exiled.
Yeah, but you can remove those counters.
And you can remove those counters, you can blink the creature, you can do any number of things.
Heck, you could even give the counter to somebody else.
Yeah. Overall, I think this is one of the weaker ones. All it does is, other than that level 2 effect, which is a mill payoff for 3 mana. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, target player mills 2 cards. Graveyard decks are going to love this.
That's just gonna be mean. I'm gonna sack 15 cards. You mill half your deck.
Well, Jake's seen like Muldrotha with that enchantment, Kaya's Guile, that lets you bring it back and just sack it over and over again.
Right?
So it's like this can be a combo dex in Muldrotha. This can be a combo piece in some decks, which is nice. Black token decks. This is a combo piece because you sacrifice all those creatures that you've been creating. Somebody mills out.
Yeah.
Last talent is, of course, the Storm Chaser's talent. When I say last talent, I mean we're not talking about the ones in the Commander set, because we don't really want to talk about the Commander set too much.
Storm Chaser.
Storm Chaser's talent. 1. When Storm Chaser's talent enters, create a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess.
Otter?
Otter. Yep.
Interesting otter.
When this class becomes level 2, return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. We've seen those effects a number of times. For 6, Holy crap, 6 mana to level this thing, which means this thing takes a
Hmm.
total of 11 mana to fully level. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 red otter. That is such a weak effect. For 11 mana, even if it's over the course of multiple turns, just to get the whenever I cast a spell, I get an otter. That effect, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, should just be on a random creature. Because we have things like it's not Soulfire Grandmaster, it's Monastery Mentor. That does the exact same thing for 3 mana. This thing is way overcosted. All right, Jake. Those are the talents. Those are the things that we really need to talk about. Um, like as far as cycles go, because that's something we do. We go through the cycles. It's the most boring part of this set. The most interesting part of this set is the other stuff.
Oh, the
Um,
random stuff that we like to look at.
not Innkeeper. Not Innkeeper. Like this guy. This guy that has been driving the Magic community nuts for the last few days. Maha, it's Feathers Knight. It's an elemental bird. Flying Trample. Ward, discard a card. 5 mana. 6/5, so it's a big boy. Creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1.
Sorry, I'd seen some more talents.
In the commander stuff.
Oh, that's in the commander stuff. He's right there.
Mahat's Feathers Knight. This guy's been driving the commander, like not just the commander community, because this guy can be a commander, which means we could see Maha its Feathers Knight decks, which is terrifying on its own. I don't want to see a Maha Feathers Knight
Oh, that would
deck.
be mean.
Can you close the door? Oh shoot. It's all
My
right.
vest
That
is on
that's
it.
fine. I just want less echo. Um, that ability of its toughness 1 in black causes so many problems because now Massacre Girl's an insta kill. Anything that hands out -1/-1 counters is an insta kill on your enemy's creatures. Just distracted because there might be a dog that comes around. Honestly, this has been driving people nuts because everyone's like, I don't want to play against Maha. It's an
No, I
oppressive
wouldn't.
card. I mean, it's a good for 5 mana. It's a strong effect, and I'm okay with that have strong effect. A strong effect. But that's all it is. It's very simple. What about you, Jake? Any cards you want to talk about?
Lumar Bellow of the Woods.
Oh, you want to talk about? Go ahead.
Oh, I think the two decks that I would love to build is a squirrel token deck and a bear deck. I think it would be fun to build bears. But Lumar Bellow of the Woods, legendary creature, elemental bear, vigilance and reach. Uh, Lumar Bellow of the Woods' power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Lumar enters, mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
This is a fun card. It's not a good card because all it does is mills you and then returns your lands from the graveyard, which can do stuff if you stack the top of your deck right. But it's a fun card.
Right? Put it in a bear. Oh, it'd be so much fun in a bear deck.
It's such a fun card, and that's what matters is having fun with it. And like Bloomburrow is one of those sets where it's like honestly, things aren't super strong or super weak. The flavor of the set is completely wild. Jake talked about this guy a little bit with me. This is called Tender Wild Guide.
Where is that one? Let me look for it.
It's a possum, 2 mana, offspring. Now we need to talk about the offspring effect.
Oh,
This is a new one. You can pay 2 as you cast the spell, so it's kicker. It's all just kicker. Um, when you pay the 2, you get to create a 1/1 copy of this creature. Now this creature taps for 1 mana, but you can also tap it to put a 1/1 counter on the creature. So this thing gets bigger and bigger.
and it has an offspring that has the same ability.
Yep. So you have 2 of them running around. So this thing is 4 mana, either 2 mana, you get a nice little mana dork, or 4 mana, you get 2 little mana dorks. I like the offspring effect.
And do you know why I looked at it and I thought it was interesting?
Hmm.
Take a look at you look at that ability, and now look at the talents that we were talking about.
Mhm.
You double that, so you get 2/1/1 counters every turn.
Yep. Now, moving on from
You can get
him,
them big quick.
like the cards are so simple in the set. I love it. If you want to get a friend into Magic, I would say the set's great because nothing's too mechanically taxing. The theme's really fun. We got to talk about Camilla the Seed Miser. It's a squirrel warlock. Other squirrels have menace. Whenever you sack one or more foods, create a squirrel. Forage, which is exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food. And put a 1/1 counter on each other squirrel. This is another squirrel commander. Jake talked about squirrels, and I'm like, yep, we are getting squirrel commanders in this set.
Hmm.
Of course, we've also got Balin, the Haymaker. Now, this is a two-pronged joke. First, first, Haymaker, he's supposed to be a rabbit. He's a gardener, okay? Not a gardener, but a farmer. He makes hay. But with that last ability, tap 4 untapped tokens you control, put 3/1/1 counters on it. It gains trample. This thing is a Haymaker.
This set is really, especially in green, is really big on 1/1 counters.
Yeah, this set is playing around with 1/1 counters a lot, which is really also thematic for the set because the set is about the little rising up, the little creature rising up against calamity. Um, as we're talking about Balin the Haymaker, um, his abilities are tap 2 untapped tokens you control, add 1 mana of any color. Tap 3 untapped tokens you control, draw a card. Then tap 4 to put 3/1 counters on him, and he gains trample. So this guy is another token commander. He's not in the commander set, but I'm like, he's a commander. People are gonna be running Balin the Haymaker because it's a fun effect. And it's like, oh, I can do it doesn't specify creature token, which means and he's in red, which means treasures are fair game. Treasures are easily fair game. And because of that, there's so much you can do with him. Now, there's a strong card in this set. One that's coming out that is going to see commander play. That is also might see modern play. This is what I call the second coming of Nykthos. Now, Nykthos is like a $50 card because it's a land that taps 2 adds for your devotion. The 3 tree city, as it enters, you choose a creature type. It taps for 1 mana, colorless. Or you can pay 2 and tap it, you choose a color. Add an amount of mana of that color equal to the number of creatures you control of the chosen type. You can just look at her screen, Jake. I've got it up.
Remember, I'm blind.
Oh, right. This is like, um, what is it? It's not a Guy's Cradle. It's not as good as Guy's Cradle, but they took inspiration from Guy's Cradle. They took inspiration from the IKEA land of Gaia's Cradle and Nykthos, where it's like you pay 2 and you get this effect where you can generate a ton of mana. Think about this. Token decks can use this because when they get 100 tokens, they're just like, I have 100 soldiers. I chose soldier. I tap it. I add a bunch of mana for my soldiers. Tribal decks love it because they're like, I'm only running elves anyway.
Here's my question. What's considered an enchanted creature?
Enchanted creature is any creature that has an aura attached to it.
Oh, okay. I found an interesting card.
Is
Feather of Flight.
that like enchanted creatures have flying?
It's an enchantment, flash, enchant creature. Uh, when Feather of Flight enters, draw a card. Enchanted creatures get +1/+0 and has flying. My dreams of making a bunch of flying squirrels are starting to come true.
Now, they did something interesting as well with planeswalkers. Because the planeswalkers all apparently with Ral, I'm not sure if this is Ral Zarek, but because it just says Ral, I think this is supposed to be Ral Zarek based on his design and everything. The cackling wit. Um, I'm assuming this is supposed to be Ral Zarek because come on, this is Ral. This is Ral. Now, but he's an otter, is why I'm a little bit confused. I mean, I think it might be lore that whenever Planeswalker comes to Bloomburrow, they immediately become an animal, which means all the Planeswalkers now get a fursona. Um, Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a loyalty counter on Cackling Wit. Crackling Wit, not cackling. Why do I think he's cackling? You can +1 to create another one of our blue and red otters. It's all the way at the top.
I was looking for the alternate art.
Oh. We'll be talking about the alt arts soon because the alt arts are really good.
Especially, I love for some reason I love the land art that they chose.
-3, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards. And -10, draw 3 cards, you get an emblem. Instant sorceries you cast have storm. Now, that's a -10 and he starts at 4. So people are like, it's not going to be bad. This guy's going to be running storm decks, which means he's going to get to that 10 really quick. Because that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a loyalty counter on him. All you got to do is generate a bunch of mana, play him, storm off, get the emblem, and then keep storming off. It's such a strong ult. It's such a strong ult. Now, we're done kind of talking about the actual different cards. We're going to talk about the art because we used to talk about the art and then we stopped at some point because we realized because honestly some of the sets just didn't have good alt arts. But I gotta say, the alt arts for Bloomburrow are phenomenal.
I mean,
Like I've got Alania up here, the Divergent Storm, with this otter that's just throwing mana in different directions. The or the frog Nissa.
right? I love the artwork they did for these.
The alt arts, and the fact that they were like, okay, we don't want to reprint Planeswalkers in every set, but what we can do is we can put them as these showcase cards. And I'm like, that's actually really cool. I like these cards. Um, and they did them all differently. Like, I would never have thought Teferi would be a peacock. I assume that's a peacock anyway.
Should look at some of these. I love some of the drawings. The hand, they almost look like hand drawings.
Oh yeah, those. Oh, let me grab one of them so that everybody can
Oh,
see
they
what we're
look
talking about.
so good.
So if you see Jake looking down, he's got a laptop that he's looking through the art as well.
Yeah, I've been looking at the cards. I mean, I love the artwork that they did for Lumar on that one. Oh, it looks amazing.
Planeswalkers. I love what they did with the Planeswalkers. The fact that they made Karn a tree. Or Elsbeth a mouse.
Small but mighty.
I would say Elsbeth is anything but small.
Well, she is a mouse now.
Like Karn the Great Creator as this tree. Or Elsbeth Sun's champion as the mouse.
I really think you should take and show some of these because they almost have them set up as like journal entries. Like when we would play Arc.
Oh, like dossiers?
Yes, and it looked so good.
Yeah, we'll show off Maha again. They look like something out of like an adventurer's journal. Like the arts here are so good. I'm like, I'm here for the alternate arts. I'm here for the alternate arts for the Planeswalkers. I'm here for the alternate arts in general. The storybook arts are so good. Like, okay, so we've talked about the cards. We're done talking about the cards at this point because we beat the cards to death, and we're almost at the 40-minute mark. Overall, how do we rate this set? In terms of power, I like the power balance. There's not too many things coming up that will break the balance of everything. I think it'll be a very interesting sealed environment. I think it's going to do very interesting things to standard as well. Um, as far as design goes,
Eh,
what do you feel about the card, all the card designs?
I actually
Not just the alternate arts, but the abilities, the flavor, everything.
so I love the idea of the forests because they do an amazing job with those, and some of the abilities, um, they're not extremely powerful, but you can tell that they are still going to be played because they're going to be able to do something.
That's my thing when I was talking about the kind of how the power level is. They are not overpowered. This set will not break the game.
But it's
Maybe. I
also
hope not. I I'm gonna eat my words on that because I also said Modern Horizons won't break the game, and then it absolutely broke the game.
what I could see happening by him with him saying it's not going to break the game. I could see him getting one shot by a giant squirrel. Like 150 squirrel just walks up and backhands him.
That rabbit's gonna end me. That haymaker is coming for me. It's gonna make me eat my words. I swear. Um, but overall, yeah, the set is well designed. It's not too powerful. It still has power in there. Um, there's commander stuff in there that's really fun. There's stuff that'll make standard a lot of fun. You can get the brewers going very easily with this set. And of course, the art. Oh man, they nailed the art.
So even outside the showcase, art still looks really good.
And like being a Redwall callback with all the storytelling stuff and the storybook style stuff, the old storybook style cards. This set has so much identity to it.
Honestly, I would love to get some of the foil lands.
Those lands look good as well.
I mean,
And then they take it to another step with their showcases where they're like, let's get these characters in action. You know, you've got the Haymaker fully armored and with like a flaming scythe, and it's like that's cool. You got the cackling wit jumping in. You've got the archer with the bow. Mabel's wielding the cag flame. You've got the planeswalkers doing their thing. This is such a cool set. Somebody put a lot of love into this set. I don't know why Wizards of the Coast is now hiring furries because this set looks like a set designed by furries.
because they got hacked by the furries.
I don't know who's blackmailing Wizards of the Coast into letting the furries have a set, but the furries have a set.
I still think.
And that was the biggest concern. The biggest concern was like when Bloomburrow comes back, it's just going to be the furry set. And it's like, in theory, yeah, but they did something so well with this set. It's like when we were going back to Ixalan and everyone's like, what's left on Ixalan? Pirates? Again? It's like, no, we're doing more. Cool. Everything changes. It's well done. Everything's developed. I like Bloomburrow as a set. I'd say it's above an above average set. I can't give it a 10 out of 10 or anything. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I like the alternate arts. Really, I really like them. I think they'll be fun to just to look at. Heck, I would like to blow one up and put it on a wall.
Also, we are at the end here. And I know this is going to wind up being a short. So if you get either the short or the video to, let's do something stupid. Let's go 10,000 likes. I'm putting it out there because I want you guys to break this. Um, We will play the box game on stream.
Heck, we've got a table for it now.
We will play the box game. You will get to watch my wallet suffer as I buy so many boxes. And I say 10,000 because that means that's a lot. And I don't think you'll get there. So, prove me wrong.
Right now, we're hoping we're still trying to get to affiliate status. Hitting 10,000
I
likes.
don't mean like this is when this goes onto YouTube. If the video or the short or both combined gets 10,000 likes, we'll play the box game on stream. You get to watch my wallet suffer. You get to watch poor financial decisions happen.
Yeah, we'll end up on financial audit.
Just referencing another show that half the people don't understand. Of course, that's everything that we've got to talk about Bloomburrow. If you're this far in, you liked it, please hit the subscribe. Or if you're just watching it in the background or listening in the background, subscribe, follow, like. Make sure to like. Get us to that 10,000 and, of course, get that box game going. I'm your GM Isaiah.
I'm Dungeon Master. Or, no, oh, he's the Dungeon Master. I'm Dragon Master.
Game Master. Technically, Dungeon Master is a trademark owned by Wizards of the Coast, so we can't legally use Dungeon Master. So, little fact there, they own
know that.
Dungeon Master as a trademark and copyright. I'm mad about that because I used to call myself Dungeon Master Isaiah, but I got a cease and desist. So, I'm your GM Isaiah. That's Dragon Master Jacob. We're logging out.